Welcome to GHOSTWATCH2016. My name is Coriander Dickinson, and I've seen some Kamen Rider.
My name is Heather Deary. I've seen some Sentai that's not Kamen Rider.
My name's Kate Stark, and I don't know what these two are talking about.
This time we watched episode 4 of Kamen Rider Ghost. Astonishing! The Castle in the Sky!
That's the name of the episode. We had some theories as to what the hero in this episode could be.
Before we get into that, do we want to talk about what we remember from episode 3?
Oh yeah, we do. I think there were 3 main points.
I've only one written down, but it says Michael Bay.
Yep, that's true. Also Robin Hood and
Condor Phone!
that's it.
Yeah, the most important aspect, Condorphone.
Credit to team.
Yay! We remember episode 3 fondly.
We will always look back at episode 3 fondly. We will always remember where we were when we saw it.
We'll have to because Condorphone
Condor Phone lives in our hearts, truly.
in this castle in the sky.
What legends involve a castle in the sky? And my first thought was, of course, James and the Giant Peach.
But then what you actually meant was,
Jack and the Beanstalk.
there it is.
Oh, I have that written down wrong. I have it written down as James and the Beanstalk for some reason.
I think I went through several iterations of trying to land on the right story.
I mean,
It's
we
like,
got there
James,
in the end.
James and the Giant.
My first thought was obviously Miyazaki. So the hero is just going to be Hayao Miyazaki.
Just Laputa.
Yeah. There's a poster for it right there.
Oh, so there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Castle in the Sky. Like clearly we've been brainwashed by the decor and
I
Corey's
hear
place.
they're adding an adult-sized cat bus to the museum.
What are we doing here? We need to
We
leave.
need to go to Japan.
We need to leave because it's going to take us a while to go to Japan by boat.
Let's get Condor Phone to fly us there, and then we can board Captain Ghost.
Captain Ghost could get us there. I don't think Condor Phone could carry all 3 of us.
Condor Phone could get us to Captain Ghost,
No. We use Condorphone to call Captain Ghost.
and then Captain Ghost picks us up.
Yeah. But we keep Condorphone with us because I'm sure Condorphone has a really great international phone rate.
Yeah, for sure.
Can Condorphone get data?
It's a rotary.
It can transform, Corey. I'm sure it has a screen somewhere where we can do data.
It at least has 3G. Hasn't got LTE yet.
So the episode begins.
Taco has 12 icons left, and he has 88 days to do it in.
Right. And we start where the previous one ended with Pretty Boy and Scary Mouth lurking in the woods watching the aftermath of the Robin Hood explosion.
Yeah.
That sentence just came out of your mouth.
Little boy's like, that sucked. And Scary Mouth that's all like, well, you could do better. And he's like, fine.
I will. Cut to a meeting of Snapple in the temple, and they're discussing like how many days are left and how many icons they need.
And some rumors.
Yeah, and TacoTime's all like, we're doing great. We got like 3 already.
We're killing the game.
Yeah. Actually, given the timeline they have left and how many they found, this is a pretty good timeline. They're doing pretty okay.
Smash cut to Gramps in a onesie, like a kigurumi.
He's got a blonde wig on.
Yeah, and it has like a yellow body with like a green stomach
Yeah.
and a pink little beak.
Yeah, it took us a little bit of time, but I'm pretty sure he's a bird.
Yeah, we thought perhaps a Pokemon.
Like a parakeet.
Yeah. But he has this look on him like he's just a sad, lost child. And his shoes.
They're not Crocs.
They're a cross between like Nike Roches and Crocs.
They might be a very legit brand name thing that we just don't know about.
Anyways, he has some things to say, such as you're being too optimistic, and something about a cuckoo and eggs. And then TacoTime's like, Nobunaga.
It's totally Nobunaga, right?
And he flips to the page in the book, and it's like, feuding states, revolutionary, Oda Nobunaga.
And just quickly, I did not know who Oda Nobunaga was. So can you give me a quick rundown, and our listeners, for them who might not know?
Nobunaga is a warlord from the feuding states era, warring states era, something like that, old times.
A Sengoku Jidai.
Yeah,
The very
old
technical
times.
term of olden days.
If you think being 30 is old, then you will be surprised when you find out the 1400s is much older. But he is from then.
Well, 1600s. He's from the 1600s. He's from the
1600s.
end of the Warring
I'm
States
sorry,
period.
he's not as old as I'm making him out to be.
He's just middle-aged.
He's
very dead.
He's
Whoa, spoilers, Corey.
he had some new ideas of things to do on the battlefield that were frowned upon by some people and were considered revolutionary by others later. He's either shown off to be as a villain in most things or as a hero, depending on what you kind of think of him. He shows up in a lot of video games, like Nobunaga's Ambition.
Wait, there's a video game about him?
There's several.
Yeah, they're like tactical diplomacy games.
There's a crossover one with Pokemon.
What about
Tile-based combat.
a board game called Secret Nobunaga?
That could be a thing. That should be a thing.
Cards Against Humanity, get on it.
It wouldn't be a secret because he'd be the one with like the top knot and the cape and the fan.
The
and
guy
he would be
constantly
doing
doing
poetry. He'd have a rifle. People would be like, oh. Well, he'd be like, I'm Nobunaga. And people would be like, you're Nobunaga.
Yeah,
Game over.
He wouldn't be hiding his Nobunaga-ness. He'd be flaunting it.
Hey, if you got it, flaunt it.
Onari gets a call on his phone with custom Snapple case.
A custom-made Snapple case that Akari is like, you made a custom case for his phone. It has like their logo on the back.
I like how excited he is about this business, this Snapple business they've started.
He's putting a lot into it.
Yeah, and he gets this call and he's like, we have a case. A case.
And so cut to them meeting with sweaty businessmen.
Mr. McSweatsmans?
Yeah, Mr. McSweatsmans. That's what we were calling him.
And he's got a problem.
A sweaty problem.
A sweaty... He works for a large company, and his boss, who is normally super awesome and cool, is suddenly a jerkface who's
Yeah.
threatened to fire him. And also, maybe there's some floating office supplies.
Yeah, so like they're sitting there, and then McSweatsmans is at his desk, and there's like just office supplies floating everywhere. There's like paper and a phone and like a tissue box, which was clearly CG, but it was scary.
And Akari's like, no, things can't float on their own.
Yeah, Akari doesn't get it, even though she herself was once floating by the power of a Goast down a street.
Yep.
She still doesn't believe it.
Which she remembers when the monk points out that the answer lies in her heart.
You know it to be true.
I
Search your feelings.
would be super annoyed if I was like, I'm not sure about this thing, and then my friends were like, the answer lies in your heart.
A lot of times people ask me what they should do, and if I don't care either way, I just say, do what's in your heart. And then they look at me and they hate me and then they walk away, and this is why I have no friends.
This is why that's not a good answer.
Exactly.
All you remember is flashbacks about things kidnapping you and floating through the air. It's bad news.
This is clearly for Snapple to investigate. So Taco sends Onari and Akari off to check other offices that have reported floaty objects, and he goes with McSweatmans to investigate their corporation headquarters.
And so there's the boss.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, he's very much a Tony Stark kind of guy. So we're going to call him Tony. And there's him and then another boss-like man, which we find out to be the president of an affiliate company. They're fighting, and it's all about like controlling interest. And
Yeah, he's like, I can't believe you. You want to take over my company? He's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, I'm leaving.
Yep. And then things start to float around the office.
Which is very convenient timing.
Second president gets dragged down the carpet. He's in a sitting position. He's just being dragged
Backwards.
by the tiny wheels on his butt.
yeah, we actually needed to pause and rewind, and then we freeze framed on him sitting down, and we saw little tiny butt wheels, and we thought it was pretty great.
In his pants.
In his pants. These were built-in butt wheels.
The ghost that was dragging him away after...
Because clearly there's a ghost involved.
Yeah, when we can see him because of TacoTime being there, is just like lightly pinching his shoulders with his index finger and his thumb and dragging him back very gently, even though it's quite obviously quite traumatic.
Yes.
I would be screaming. Yes.
Yes.
I think this guy was. So we get a pretty good shot of this Gunma, and wow. I'd say we start feet up and work to the top. Pretty simple. Black boots with kind of like a check pattern cuff.
Black pants, just straight up.
But you see the end of kind of like a long burgundy trench.
He's got a cat on his waist near the belt.
Yeah, he's got like the eyeball belt, the evil eye,
Yeah.
and a cat face.
And there's like some gold trim on his jacket, but going up the sleeves, there's some hearts
Little white hearts.
made of, it looks like book pages.
Yeah, which
Mhm.
leads up to the open books on his shoulders.
Yep,
On
with text written in them.
Yeah, on his chest, there's also a clock and some playing cards.
Yep.
And purple rabbits with like heavy stitching on them.
Red eyes.
Kind of
Red-
zombie
red
rabbits.
eyes.
There's also
Yeah.
one in his hood, and they look demonic.
Which, fits in with his face.
Yeah, he's got like a black mask on and a red bow tie.
And piercing blue eyes.
Yeah, scary blue eyes.
Yeah, not the kind you want in a date.
No, you wouldn't look at this figure and be like, oh, dark skin, blue eyes, just a dreamboat. No, you'd look at this and scream.
Especially with his hair.
The hair was, as the kids are saying, on fleek.
It was in a form that was not moving.
Like, it was kind of a Mrs. Brady haircut with the flipped out ends.
Curly golden locks.
But gold and, like, hard.
And like, if that wasn't enough, he had on top of his head a hat, a very stylized top hat
Very oversized.
with the check
Yeah.
pattern on it as well.
And then moving on up this giant top hat, you see little foots.
Little tiny bird foots.
Little
Yep.
burp foots.
When you thought you were done, you weren't, because there was a purple burb that looks a lot like the rabbits.
With a little red bow tie.
And a hat.
A matching tiny top hat.
I kind of wish they'd gone further and the little burb had like another teenier burb.
Maybe it did and we just couldn't see it.
It might have been so small.
Oh,
Or maybe it had a little tiny person on top that had a little tiny bird on top of its hat.
that would make more sense to continue the pattern. You need a person on top of your burb hat and a burb on top of your person hat,
So we called this one the Mad Hatter.
because it was clearly the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious this is who this person is
the
supposed to
cat
be.
that we described earlier was actually very obviously the Cheshire Cat.
And so we're assuming that the books on the shoulders was Alice in Wonderland.
So we were inside a building.
And then the ghost is all like, this ain't scary enough yet. And so jump to the roof.
Because that's what happens in this show. So they're on the edge of the roof, and this Mad Hatter is like holding the president of the affiliate company like over the edge.
And Taco's like, no, let him go.
And so he drops
The man.
the prez, off the side of the building. And Taco goes to save him and transforms mid-air.
Yeah, it's really cool. He catches him just before he hits the ground.
Just
and
lands
then
flat-footed.
Flat feet on the ground, and he has these little shockwaves that go through his body, and he's like, oh, that's smart.
And then the president is like, I'm alive.
Time for a nap.
The Ganma, the Mad Hatter at that point, jumps down and attacks TacoTime. And of course they're both invisible because they both ghosts.
And they do fisticuffs for a while.
Yeah.
But it's in like the middle of like a busy plaza, and there's
Yeah.
like people walking around, but because they're ghosts, no one's looking, and they're physically like going through people.
Well, until those explosions start going around, because those aren't invisible.
Another Michael Bay situation.
They're more dust explosions than fire explosions at the moment.
So then Taco takes his sword, and he cuts the Mad Hatter down the middle.
He knocks the Mad Hatter over
Mhm.
and then goes to slice him, and the Mad Hatter's like, psych, and splits in two before the blade hits
Yep.
the ground.
Double trubs.
And they keep calling each other bro, so now we have the Mad Hatter bros. Yeah. This is when Yurusen shows up and berates TacoTime. He's like, what you doing? What you doing, TacoTime? Clearly you just need to split the Gongon saber.
Oh yeah,
Which is a real thing that we all know about.
that's
Well,
the name of the sword that he has.
He's had this sword for the past, 3 episodes, but just nobody's ever given it a name.
But now we have a name. It's kind of dumb.
It's no less dumb than he splits the sword, puts it half of it on the bottom, like a double-ended lightsaber. And when he's reconnected it, he's holding it. He's like, "Oh, this is like a Naginata."
It's not like a Naginata.
No, it's not.
I didn't know what a Naginata was, but then we looked at photos of a Naginata, and even I said, that's not a Naginata.
We were confused at first because of the framing. We were like, "Oh, maybe the bottom isn't a blade," until he started to use both blades.
Yeah, I was like, maybe it is a long-handled staff with a blade on the end, not a short, stubby staff with blades on both ends, like a batleth or something.
Yeah. He uses a Omega Stream attack with it to cut the Ganma.
And one of the Ganma runs up to the camera and tells the audience, shh, 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 no, be quiet.
And then skedaddles.
And then runs away.
Yeah, be good boys and girls. Don't tell.
When this Omega stream is happening, there's like blue lights, blue and green lights everywhere.
Lightning.
Yeah, it's very flashy.
And the guy was like, he got me.
I'm excited too because this was his first new Omega attack where he didn't get a new outfit. So I'm curious to see how
I'm not
many
excited
more.
about that. There should be rules.
Well, I'm not excited about what weapon he decided to call it after, but
So it turns out he defeated the wrong Ganma.
the Mad Hatter waves at him after he's escaped.
From behind a shrubbery.
Yeah.
And is all like, "Oops," and then runs off.
And TacoTime double takes.
Turns out the real Ganma that he wanted to kill was the one with the bird on its head. So it shows the one he defeated with no burb. And then the real one running away with a burb.
Yep. Which you would think would telegraph some things in the episode, and it doesn't.
No, does not. So Taco transforms back to his normal self.
Yep, the icon tells him, "Good night,
Shut-eye time.
shut-eye time."
Oyasumi.
And then Taco just casually walks away.
To go help Prez, I assume.
There is a mysterious figure behind him, or rather, the weird device we saw at the end of episode 3 that was monitoring what was going on.
Yeah, the blue thing.
Yeah.
Turns out it is a cobra. It's a cobra
Yeah.
Robot Cobra.
that turns into a flip phone.
Yep.
And so it's being held by this figure that is black and it's blue. And it kind of looks like
And it
Transform
has a
Taco.
driver belt.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And it
And-
looks like Taco when he's transformed.
Yeah,
Except-
but he's got horns.
2
Yeah.
horns instead of 1 horns.
And, I mean, he was exciting, but I'm still much more excited about his snake phone.
A small snack. Whoa, wait. Condor phone. Cobra phone.
Yeah, Friends Forever.
Spin-off show.
Friends Forever.
I bet they can call each other.
Can we get some fan art of Small Snack and Condor phone? True OTP?
Just talking to each other.
No,
They
you
stay
hang up
late.
first.
They
No,
stay up
you
late
hang up
talking on the phone. Oh.
So we're like, hiss. Caw!
Translated to, you hang up first. No, you hang up first.
But if I hang up, I have to go to bed. I have to turn
Tiny
off.
Snick doesn't want to go to bed.
Tiny Snake wants to stay up late. Watch all of its super hot movies about Slytherins.
I want to see this show. So it turns out the affiliate president decides to give control of his company.
To a smug-looking lady that is downstairs as well.
The smuggest looking woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, she was really just, yeah, of
She
course
was
you will. You
pleased.
are totally giving me this company.
And she's like, heh, and then she like saunters off into the office, and TacoTime ghosts after her.
We cut to Onari and Akari interviewing people in other companies who've seen floating objects. There's Akari turns and the camera goes in front of her and she's looking at a wall and there's a map there.
There's a map on the wall with all these dots on it.
These red stickers.
Little red stickers. And the dots are very clearly an eye.
I mean, they're practically so far connected that they're almost making lines.
And then the camera like slowly pans in on it and Akari's like, I don't know what this could mean.
There's something here.
but I'm not sure.
Not sure what.
The camera keeps panning in on it.
And then we cut away from that.
To TacoTime following Smug Lady through the office
As
in
a ghost.
form.
Yes.
Yep. And they walk past Tony Stark's office, so he's just like, I'm gonna ghost in here.
And then he de-ghosts, and he's just like, I'm going to be not a ghost in this office that is private.
You'd think he would want to stay a ghost. If I was on a secret mission, I would stay a ghost always.
So he starts snooping around the office, sees a fancy framed parchment thing.
Yeah, it's
A letter almost.
It's got some writing on it that we can't read. Whatever. It's
There's
probably
a little
important.
tiny samurai figurine near it.
And then Tony comes into his office. I mean, it's his office. But TacoTime's there. He's like, what?
What you doing here? And he's like, oh, Mick Sweatman's hired me to check out your floaty office problem.
He's like, oh, Tony. Tony doesn't even give McSweatsman any credit there. He's like, oh, good. McSweatsman, he's on that. I'm glad I assigned him to that. No, he's just like, oh, you from the temple?
Yeah, why do you know my name?
Guy visited me a while ago.
Guy? You mean dead dad?
Maybe, I don't know. He brought me this letter or he wanted to see this letter. It's signed by Oda Nobunaga.
Nobunaga?
Right? I come from this family, and we've been serving the Oda family for, like, generations.
I'm
awesome.
a super fan of Oda Nobunaga.
Then Smug Lady shows up.
Yeah, and she wants to chat to Tony.
And Tony's like, well, get out of my office, child.
When TacoTime leaves, he runs into McSweatsman, who's been looking for him because he keeps disappearing on him. And he's like, TacoTime's like, hey, who's Smug Lady? And he's like, oh, Secretary Lady. He's like, oh, Smug Secretary Lady, got it.
Yep. And Sweatman looks away, looks back, Taco's gone again.
And he freaks out, and he sweats some more.
He's basically sweating through this entire episode. He's probably sweating right now.
It's probably linked to just being really nervous. I don't think he normally has a sweating problem. I hope not. But
he had the handkerchief before.
Yeah, he had, like, when he was in the meeting with Snapple, he was sweating profusely.
Yeah, but I like to think that it's just that working is stressful, and he knows it, so he brings his handkerchief with him.
That's nice.
So Taco sneaks back into the office to eavesdrop on Smug Secretary and Tony.
Staying as a ghost this time, because that would be dumb if he unghosted them.
And it is revealed that Secretary is encouraging Boss Man to acquire a bunch of companies because that can make him like Nobunaga.
Well, it will help him do the thing Nobunaga did not succeed at, unifying the nation of Japan, which has already been done at this point.
I was about to say.
Japan is already unified. It happened a long time ago.
Cuts back to Akari, still just staring at this map.
There's something about this. And Anari's like, no, it's just a map of businesses that have been acquired in the area.
Akari's like, no, let me grab this pen and connect the dots that are almost already fully
And Anari's
connected.
like, no, don't do that.
I mean, she's wrecking a map. This is not her map. This is this company's map.
Yeah, it's not her property. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyways.
But after she does that, Onari's all on board. He's like, oh, yeah, no, I see what he's best. Good idea, yeah.
Very much an eye.
Yeah, you're right. It's an eye. And he's not concerned about this company's map anymore.
But she effed that map up. But then office supplies start floating again.
And Akari's all like, oh, there must be a ghost here. I'm just going to pull my glitter gun out of my bag.
So now she believes in ghosts again.
Yeah.
Like what? So she pulls her glitter ghost gun out of her purse, which she just carries around now.
It is smaller than we thought it was.
Depending on the camera angle, I've noticed.
I'm glad it's more portable than it looked in the first episode.
Maybe it was just a prototype in the first episode and she's working on like a folding compact version for travel.
Maybe she's going to make a very small, tiny version that makes putting glitter on your fingernails a lot easier. She should do that.
She should do that. I'd like a consumer model.
Yeah. For my tiny ghost friends that I'm concerned about.
My ghost needs.
The glitter gun reveals a Mad Hatter clone in the corner, just dirtling around, glowing purple.
Yep. And then he does a thing, and all the companies outside.
It pops out to like an overhead view of the city,
which is a large city.
Yeah, there's a golden glow connecting all the dots that correspond with the map,
making a large eye.
And I'm like, yeah. You messed up a map, Akari. This guy messed up a city. Good job. And like that seemed like that was all he was going to do.
But no. The streets start getting like torn up and the eye shape
rises from the ground and separates and floats into the sky.
Yeah.
Making a
A floating castle?
Castle in the sky.
It's interesting to watch like the little scenes where the people are kind of running away because some are just like, and others. There was that one where the guy was just really close to the edge and taking photos.
He's like, I'm 2 feet away from this dirt wall.
I'm just gonna
taking photos of
Snapchat
this dirt wall.
I gotta Snapchat it.
Get my periscope.
I would Snapchat a lot of that.
I mean, I would run first,
Yeah, I'd get a little further away.
and then I'd Instagram it so it
We've
stayed.
all seen the Avengers. We know what happened to Giant Floaty City Chunk.
Yeah.
I think I would probably
Not good.
Instagram it rather than Snapchat it, because then it would stay around for more than
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably just take a series of photos and then put it in like Windows Movie Maker or something as an automatic slideshow.
Interesting. Could
Upload
we
it to YouTube
could
with
we then put
custom
that-
titles.
into a PowerPoint presentation?
I mean, I'd use Keynote.
So we use Keynote. We do a keynote on flying city safety. Here's what to do in the event of a flying castle in the sky.
Take lots of pictures.
You know, maybe I just turn Periscope on. Run around.
Yeah, I mean, if I streamed it on Twitch, it would just archive it.
I'd go on Peach.
Anyway, we cut to the rooftop that we'd been on earlier of the company, which oddly is not in the middle of the floating city.
Yeah,
I completely thought it was going to be in the
Yeah, the
middle of the eye.
headquarters.
Yeah.
is not in the middle of the eye like we would assume.
Yeah, and Smug Lady is standing there with Tony Stark.
And she's all like, from here you will rule the country.
This is Azuki Castle.
But it totally reminded me of like a real estate agent showing a house, being like, here's where you can hang out with the kids. And it's a great spot for a pool. We got lots of light here.
Lovely view.
Lovely view. Just imagine growing up here.
And I mean, I know it doesn't have a ravine, but like your whole world is practically a ravine at this point.
The world is your ravine.
And Tony's all like, yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
looks good to me, yeah.
You can reign all of Japan from here.
And Smug Lady is holding the letter signed by Nobunaga.
And I'm all
casually.
like, how's he going to get up there? How is he going to rule Japan from way over there?
And then the Ganma starts to take over Tony, so he starts glowing purple.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm going to be Nobunaga.
And
I'm going to be Nobunaga.
TacoTime. TacoTime's here. And he's like, no, it's not how it goes.
And Lady's like, it's too late to stop anything.
And Tony is like, I don't care if I'm killed, because I'm going to become Nobunaga. I'll have everything I ever wanted.
And we know TacoTime's not all about that. He would really like people to understand their own lives. Him being a ghost, he misses his. And he's like, you know what? You need a hug.
This gets real.
He ghosts in, wraps his arms around Tony, takes him to the glowy gold white zone.
Tony does not hug back. He stands there as
Yeah,
Taco
this is a
embraces him.
Non-consenting hug.
So it's all glowy and white. And it zooms in on Taco's face.
A single tear falls to the ground,
You can feel the emotion. It's beautiful.
and the purple smoke oozes out of Tony.
The Smug Lady is mad.
He's like, what? No, it was too late. I said it was too late.
It's really, really annoying when people prove you wrong.
And Mad Hatter pops up.
TacoTime starts becoming a Nobunaga expert all of a sudden. He's like, you know what, Tony Stark, let me tell you about Nobunaga. He is not the villain people think he is. He was good to his employees, and you need to stop threatening your employees and be like the real Nobunaga. Let me tell you.
He's like, yeah, Nobunaga did take care of people.
Yep, and then TacoTime's like, okay, cool, time to transform into Robin Hood.
To fight the Mad Hatter.
Which was great, because then we avoided all the other transformations this time around.
Yeah, he wasn't Musashi, wasn't Edison. He just skipped right to the good stuff, went right to Robin Hood. So now they're in a park fighting, which looks like it could be on another roof. And I had a problem with this. The initial roof that they were on,
With the helipad?
it was a helipad. Like, that is not a small space, but apparently it isn't large enough to fight on.
I tell you why that helipad space is not large enough and why they need that park.
Please tell me.
Is because the Mad Hatter splits into several Mad Hatters.
Like 6.
And he's like, which one's real? And you know there's going to be a party. And that helipad, not big enough for this party.
Probably windy.
That's fair. Taco then pulls his like little ripcord on his little belt, and he turns into 6 of himself. after basically being Hanzo from Overwatch, and he shot arrows everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not really... So, we talked about earlier where it's like, oh, the real one had the burb on the head. And when the Mad Hatter splits and he's like, which one's the real one? I'm like, this is the point in the show where that telegraphed moment earlier is, oh, I shoot the one with the burb on the head and they all disappear.
Except in this case, the Mad Hatter split into a bunch of clones and encircled TacoTime and is like rapidly rotating around.
Yeah.
It's like, haha, clones moving too fast.
Circle clone party.
The Omega Strike in this case somehow duplicates TacoTime, and he manages to hit them all at the same time.
Yeah, it was another Michael Bay moment.
Circle explosion Michael Bay moment.
Yep. And so the Mad Hatter is defeated.
And a book falls onto the ground.
With like burning holes in it.
It's Alice in Wonderland.
So,
We were right.
Mad Hatter confirmed 2016. We cut briefly to where the Mad Hatter clone was with Akari and Onari.
Oh,
and
right.
it turns into light and disappears.
And then the city starts to fall.
Yeah, and TacoTime's like, wait a minute. Right, I defeated that, and, I didn't think about this. I'm gonna,
Yurusen pops up and is like, the Nobunaga thing is going to come out just over there.
Yeah, and TacoTime's like, you know what? I gotta go save the city, and runs in the opposite direction.
And Pretty Boy is on the roof of the building and makes a seal, the eye seal, in the air with his finger.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
And there's a bunch of icons that just like scatter to the winds.
Yeah, like a bunch of them.
And TacoTime, he runs underneath the falling city.
Now, remember, this is basically a full city in the sky. It's not small.
Yeah, this is a very wide area.
And a large chunk of the earth was taken out, too.
He is in the middle of the missing part of the city, right underneath it. And
he
he's
gets
looking
there.
up.
He's like, what do I do now?
It's like, no, you should have thought of that before you ran under the city.
If you're having a crisis and you're like, I don't know what to do, maybe running underneath the thing that is falling on top of you.
Yeah, not really the best idea.
But he calls for Yurusen. And Yurusen's like, oh, fine, you know what? You can... I shouldn't, but it's an emergency. You can use the Newton icon.
What's the Newton icon?
Well, there's a flashback to explain that.
No, but still, what's the Newton icon? Did we miss an episode?
And so we actually paused and were like, crap, were these labeled wrong? Did we do this wrong? We went back.
We
and
were
really,
really concerned we had
counted
skipped
on
an
our
episode.
fingers how many episodes we'd seen and how many icons he had.
And so we Googled it. And then it turns out this is from a previous series, right?
Yeah, from Kamen Rider Drive.
And this was an icon of Sir Isaac Newton because, of course, it was.
The flashback shows like a quick thing with...
I mean, I don't know if a telephone.
Yeah, and it's like, I thought this flashback might explain more.
It didn't.
It's just there's an icon in the flashback, and it's blue, and the one that Yurusen is holding is also blue.
So he puts it in his little cool belt and then does his little transformation. He switches from green to blue. Okay, so the image of Newton.
Yeah, they at least provided us with the Newton image, which was nice.
Imagine Sir Isaac Newton holding out his hand.
Like Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, like pointing. With an apple falling from it with very distinct gravity lines.
That apple is so fast.
Super heavy.
Now that I think about it, he looks more like Edgeworth with all the mascots and things going on.
If Phoenix Wright and Edgeworth had a baby back in time,
it would
and
be
in
Sir
England.
Isaac Newton. He's objecting to that gravity apple. That is what is going on.
So the blue jacket.
The blue jacket, the Newton jacket.
Start with his hands.
The ball hands?
Balls.
They're basically balls on like springs almost.
Something. They're like cord attached to the shoulder area.
I'm not sure. How's he supposed to
Why?
use his hands or why?
Well, we'll figure that out in a second. But the actual body, you know those like puffy, outdoorsy vest jackets?
Yeah, I saw one today.
I saw it on Twitter.
In that exact color.
It's basically one of those. Like the puffy, it was blue. So puffy blue jacket with a matching hood.
Yeah, and then like an arrow on the tail.
Like in the
points
butt
down.
region.
The hood was also puffed. Just don't understand why.
The best part is when Taco put it on and transformed into Newton, the mask was a down arrow above an apple.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a nice touch.
Which I drew, but it kind of looks like an arrow on top of a butt, which is fine because that's what the back of the coat looks like.
And so then Taco asks Yurusen, it's like, what do I do with this?
How do I use this?
And Yurusen is very straightforward. What was Newton known for, dummy?
Oh, Attraction. I knew that. I obviously knew that.
So the left hand is for attraction, the right hand for repulsion. So then the least creative Omega anything ever is the Newton Omega Drive.
Yep. They've finally
run
run out
out.
of words.
So
I mean, for this.
Taco is underneath the city and basically punches the sky, like a Superman kind of thing. Punches the bottom of the city.
With the repulsor beam thing.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
slows it down.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop it, but
Yeah.
slows him down.
He's still under it.
And it's very slowly coming
and he's
down.
just realizing he's still under it.
Yeah, and then it
Took him this long to realize he's still under the city.
it crushes him, and then he dies.
It was a really dark end to that episode. But I guess we're done this podcast now.
Great. Perfect. It's been fun. No, and then we all realized
He was a ghost all along.
it was a ghost all along. We all got so caught up that we forgot.
Yurusen berates him just before the city crashes and everything goes blind. He's like, haven't you figured out your powers yet?
But the thing is, the three of us forgot he was a ghost.
What, did he unlock some new power? Did he like dig a hole super fast?
I figured it had something to do with the Newton jacket. It was like, you could repulse it up far enough and walk out.
And so he like appears in a sidewalk as a ghost, and all of us are just like,
And his head
oh,
pokes out.
that makes so much more sense now. Oh yeah, and then he dabs.
Yeah.
He does like the hand dab thing.
Mission accomplished. He's very happy. And Yurusen's like, what? No, mission is not accomplished.
Pops him on the head.
You need to go get the icon, you dumb. It's at the top of the building.
Yeah, it's TacoTime's like, what was? Oh, right, Nobunaga Ghost.
So he rushes back up, and Smug Lady is choking Tony Stark, like Darth Vader Force style, choking him.
He's off the ground. She's only holding him up with like one hand.
And she is not like, she's a tiny little lady.
I'm not really sure why she's doing that. Like, I don't know what she thinks that's going to accomplish.
So TacoTime gets in there and interferes and saves Tony.
TacoTime makes the seal, and the Nobunaga jacket appears.
Makes a seal above the letter again.
Yeah, the letter that was signed by Nobunaga.
And then we have the jacket, the ghost parka.
Which is super good, by the way. I think this is probably my favorite designed, apart from Robin Hood, my personal favorite jacket.
He's got tassel fingers.
So it's purple with gold tassel fingers.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like a scarf, and the tassels on the scarf make up the fingers.
My favorite is like not just the fact that he has a top knot coming out of the hood, but he has these side pieces on the hood that are supposed to be the hair being pushed back into the top knot.
He's got a really great collar. And I have a note here saying, Heather excited about cape.
It has a cape. It's the first jacket to have a cape, Kate, and it matches the Nobunaga picture highlighted that they show. It's great.
no
it's
rifle.
Purple. It's
No
a purple
rifle.
Cape. It's just the parka so far. He hasn't transformed. He probably gets a rifle, but he has a cape.
There's no daggers
He's
or
totally
swords
gonna
either.
get a cape. I'm really excited for this cape, Kate.
So then Smug Lady, like a blue icon pops out of her,
Yeah, it just pops out.
and then she faints.
Yeah,
And the icon transforms into generic Ganma, and TacoTime just,
Omega Drive kicks it.
yeah,
He's like, Omega Drive kick,
bam, gone.
gone. We don't need to spend time on generic Ganma. Hell no. And then he goes for the Nobunaga jacket, because time to collect Nobunaga.
This is where I get upset, because the other figure, the blue and black one from earlier,
The one with the awesome snake phone.
with Snack Phone, just rocks up, takes the icon.
He doesn't rock up. He like flying kicks out of the sky.
I'd say that
They're on the
that's
top of
rocking
the
up.
building. And he just like drops in from space.
I have this picture of him just strutting it off of a cloud now and being like, nope, my jacket.
Basically.
Coat check
And
here.
he's like, fight with me.
But then he takes it, and then he runs away.
He skedaddles.
That's
Yeah.
it.
He's like, mine now. Bye.
And then Pretty Boy
Oh, it's
is
so
he's
great.
he's in the background, like looking through
Behind
a thin.
TacoTime.
Yeah, he's like creeping on TacoTime, looking through like a little window, and then it close up of his face, and he just whispers, "Spectre." So my assumption is he's just really stoked on the James Bond movie. He just really loves Daniel Craig.
You know what? I think he's mad because there's probably a showing soon, but he's got this work to do. And he's like, I was going to get the jacket and rock it out to the Spectre thing, and now Spectre.
No, I can't. So then it shows the Snapple crew at the front of the building.
Wrapping things up with Tony and Secretary, who was possessed and doesn't remember anything and isn't awful.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
And they're like, thank you so much for your help. And they're like, yeah, no problems. And then they walk away.
We find out that this is actually when we've confirmed that Ganma can actually possess people, and they don't remember the crappy things they did when they were possessed. How convenient.
And Pretty Boy stalks them.
Yeah, he's talking TacoTime.
It's like they walk past a park, and then Pretty Boy's like in the background looking at them. That's really creepy.
I think he's still upset about Spectre.
I mean, I would be.
Right.
So back in Snapple HQ, Taco confronts Gramps in the basement.
Who was that guy? Tell me who the guy who took my Nobunaga jacket was, Gramps.
There's other Kamen Riders.
What? How dare he not mention that?
But let's not forget, how was Gramps dressed?
As a samurai.
In front of the monolith?
Yeah, he's just like sitting there parked, holding court.
I'm just upset that he doesn't mention that he isn't the only Kamen Rider.
Well,
until now.
I mean, I completely understand why TacoTime is so upset, because he's just like, I think this is very relevant information. Also, you have other icons? Like, Yurusen just getting like, yeah, I guess.
And why don't Gamma just possess people and then make them make the icons? I was like, no, it has to be, they have to mean it. And Gunmas don't mean it. And
Can we Ranma now?
Can we have Ranma now?
Ramen. Ramen? I wrote this down wrong. I wrote ramen. Ramen. Can we ramen now? I want to have ramen.
Yeah, and then they're just like, oh, can we go get ramen?
Yeah,
It sounds good.
TacoTime's not happy with that, but he turns around, which he should never do.
No. And then he like says something and then turns back around and then Gramps is gone.
So I have a question.
Tell me.
Newton icon
Mm-hmm.
was picked up in a different series. It is not a thing that TacoTime has. He doesn't seem to be concerned. He's been told there's 15 icons. Is Newton not part of them? Are there more icons? Does he just
There
have
must
to
be
get
more.
He just has to get 15.
It looks like the Gamma come from icons of some kind, just not heroic ones.
Does the Newton one count towards his tally?
Yeah, like
yeah, it must.
so he's still got one.
There's
on
a
this
Newton
episode.
illustration. He must be in the book.
So this counts towards.
Yeah, so he's
12.
still got
So
one
I
this
think there
episode.
might be more than 15 heroes
In the world? In all of history?
in the book.
Do you think they were like scraping the bottom of the barrel with Robin Hood or something? It was just like, well, we ran out of real people.
Look, Corey, Robin Hood was clearly real, as supported by the fact that true historical facts showed up in episode 3. I believe everything a television show tells me, don't you?
Did you know that Robin Hood and Little John were walking through the forest?
I would hope so, given that it's Sherwood Forest. It's not like they skipped or skedaddled. I mean, they may have ran a few times.
I'm glad you can't remember the rest
Robin
of the song.
Hood and Little John walking through the forest.
Golly, what a day.
Did you know the hamster dance song is from the Robin Hood movie?
No.
You didn't know that?
Oh, did I need to know that one?
Yeah. It's just sped up.
It's
If you
the
slow down.
rooster.
Yeah.
Oh, you've just destroyed my childhood.
Which part? The part where you loved hamster dance or the part where you loved Robin Hood?
Part where I loved Robin Hood. Talking the animated Robin Hood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sick for like 2 weeks when I was a kid, and I literally, I joke you not, I watched that movie on repeat all day, every day for 2 weeks. It was my favorite, and I had a super crush on Fox Robin Hood.
I think that's universal.
Good, because somebody gave me crap a while ago because they're like, you had a crush on a cartoon fox? I'm like, yeah, because he was a hot fox.
Now Zootopia's out. Many other kids have crushes on hot foxes.
Coming full circle.
Foxes are hot. That's why we refer to people as foxes.
Yeah.
Duh. Science and Love, 2016.
Thanks for listening to episode 4 of Ghostwatch 2016. I liked this episode. Until the end when I got annoyed at this episode. But it came back. I got excited.
No, this
again.
episode had a lot going for it. Mostly Snake Phone, because now we have Snake Phone and Condor Phone fanfiction in my brain.
if there isn't like a really big news report and a state of emergency in the city the next day because part of the city lifted up into the sky, I'm going to be upset if the next
Corey.
episode doesn't refer to this as
Corey.
like, we called in the army now to
That
solve
was-
our ghost problem.
no,
and
it's-
Akari's like, I have the power to see ghosts.
If they mention it on a news broadcast, they're going to talk about how there was a mass hallucination and that didn't actually happen.
A lot of stuff must have been broken when that happened. Like,
No, that was just some weird vandalism that happened under the mass hallucination.
I mean, like,
People were freaking out, so they broke some
the
shit.
sewage system in that section of the city
There were
must
some
no longer
very
work.
large rats.
I think you are being far too logical.
Does that section of the city still have power?
Everything's fine, obviously.
Power comes from the sky when lightning strikes, so it'll be fine as long as it rains. It was a mass hallucination. Nothing happened, Corey.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Please give us a follow or a subscribe. Is it on YouTube? Yeah. Give us a follow on Twitter, which is GHOSTWATCH2016. Give us a subscribe and like a thumbs up and all that YouTube junk here on YouTube.
Try us out on iTunes if you hate YouTube.
Yeah, we've provided you with several options for your listening pleasure.
You can check out our website, which is ghostwatch2016.xyz, or for you Americans, ghostwatch2016.xyz.
I promise they're the same website, and we have not separated the Americans from the Canadians.
No, the Canadian website's way better.
It's got more orange.
Spot the 10 differences and then tweet them at us. And if anybody wants to make Condor Phone and Small Snack fan art, please tweet them to us. Ghostwatch 2016.
Bye.
Bye.